Hello, beautiful people. It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast for December. So December 2023, the tarot, the numerology, the energy that is with us in this month ahead. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for joining me in this energy. The two cards that define the energy of December are the Hangman and the Sun. The Hangman is a question of reversal and clarity of sight and being willing to speak your truth and live your truth even when it's misunderstood. There's a way in which the Hangman speaks to a different rhythm of living. And we see that in December, right? December always calls for a pause, a reversal, a generosity of spirit, hopefully, that we might not feel in the other months of the year. There's something about the darkness that descends, especially for us here in December, that speaks to the preciousness of the light. And the message that came through for this month from a meditative standpoint was, do you notice the way that light and water play together in this world? These two fundamental energies of light and water. They exist in you. You are a play of light and water, but so is the rain, and so is the frost, and so is the river, and so is the ocean. And there's something about noticing that, becoming aware of that, opening your awareness to that, that will be a gift to you this month, I promise you. The sun coming through is such a happy, joyful energy. The sun is warmth and joy and light and possibility. And so the Hangman and the sun coming through at the tail end of this 7-year just speaks to an awareness and appreciation, a access to awe and wonder that we might not have had the rest of the year. And as you've heard me say, sevens are mysterious. There is a mysterious transformation taking place in a 7-year, both out in the world and in your own individual being, your own smaller community. It's hard to understand. Like, you might be sitting here at the end of the year being like, what just happened? What just happened? A 7-year just happened. And so there's something that has shifted, but maybe you can't even define it. Maybe you can't even see it. The Hangman just settles you into a deep knowing of rightness, and not righteousness, but rightness. Like, I don't need to be understood to be okay. And I don't need to explain it. I don't need to fight for it. I can just be happy. I can just find joy where I find joy. And I can fill myself with that light, with that good feeling, and it can be a gift to the world. And I can recognize in that just how perfectly formed I am, just how right I am, even in my messy confusion, even in my imperfection. There's a reason I'm here now, just like this. I offer you all of this energy around this last month of the year. Joy is right here for us. Joy is right here for us. There's a way in which Hangman and the Sun will offer us the best of this holiday season, the best of this solstice time. What do you need, and how can you be a better match to it as you open your heart, open your awareness to the light and water of this moment, the light and water of this life. And we are entering in 2024, the 8-year. Things will speed up. We will see a quicker, more material, more graspable experience of energy in our lives. And that's cool. Don't rush away this moment. Don't rush away this little pivot point between what you've cultivated over this last year and what you will embrace in the year to come. Take your time with this. Take your time with December. Really think about what you need to feel joy, what you're searching for in terms of heart satisfaction, and give yourself that. I send you so much love, so much bright light, but also so much crystalline water in your life this month. And may you be able to stay with it. May you be able to stay with it. Enjoy what you hear in the podcast in front of us. Check you later. Bye. Hello everyone, it is me, Kirsten. Hey, what's up? And this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast, and this is the monthly energy report channeled message for the month of December 2023. Okay, here we go. This is exciting. I love these two cards. The energies that are with us in December are 12, the Hangman, and 19, the Sun. These are fascinatingly different energies, and yet they come together to tell this story that is this interesting mirror, this interesting, reflective, sparkly engagement. And important to note is that the sun energy comes in as a gift. So the Hebrew letter that we use in tarot to describe the sun, it means gift. And the Hebrew letter of the hangman is C. And when I was sitting with these energies, that was that was the core image that came through. And I'm going to offer it to you, but take it with you this month. The energy of how light and water come together. How do light and water come together? Sunlight and water, that's it. What runs the world. We cannot be human. We cannot be on this planet. We cannot survive without these things. We take them for granted, and yet we know fundamentally it's key to life. Water, right, is the key to life. And obviously the sunlight is what makes our planet inhabitable. On a more granular note, think about the last time you really noticed light and water coming together. Maybe it was light across the water, light across the ocean, or light across a river, like a bubbling river, or the way that the light and the raindrops came together and sparkled, or frost in the morning. So much beauty to the way light and water play with each other. There's such a variety of experiences. One of those Instagram accounts that will talk about strange words, and I saw it years ago, maybe even a decade ago, and I don't know the word, but I always think about it, and it's one of those things I wish I could find it again. So if you know it, please tell me. But there was a word for the movement of light across water, or the wind through leaves. So that rippling seductive energy of moving leaves or moving water. There's a word for that. If you know it, please tell it to me. But that's what this reminds me of, the moment where you see light and water come together and you literally stops you in your track. The beauty of the world, that is with us. The sun and the hangman coming together is so powerful. They're both such inherently magnetically strong energies, powerful energies, and we'll talk in more detail about how that is or why that is. But together they offer this moment of joy, truly a moment, a pause, an appreciation, a vision of pure joy. And it's so lovely. It's so lovely this time of year. This time of year can be everything but, it all comes from joy, right? The positive intention of December, make it a human, is to spread joy and peace and connection and generosity and repose, time nestled with the people you love, and abundance in food and abundance in gift giving and the light and love of humanity on display. Right? That's December. That's the energy of December in lots of different ways and lots of different perspectives. And yet, we, commercialized, commodified little world that we live in, we can get so panicky around that. It can become a performance. It can become a necessity. It can become a burden to participate right, to do enough, to sparkle enough. And I just want you this whole month to keep coming back to light and water. You don't need to do anything to be a gift. You don't need to do anything to be radiant. You are light and water, right? What are we, 70, 90% water? We are also containing this light, containing this core of light. And a lot of spiritual traditions, they'll talk about the fact that the human, the incarnation, has light within it. And part of our movement, our development, our spiritual growth is to go from something that is binding light, like a container that is holding light, to a container that liberates light. Can you feel that? Can you feel that so much of what you're doing with your own self-development, your own coming home, your own reparenting yourself, your own trauma resolution is to say, I am enough. I am enough. I am light incarnate in this world, and that is enough. My gift of existence, my existence is a gift. My fully owning and expressing and offering that from a place of fullness is the real work, coming home to yourself that way. So think about you yourself as this container that is both water and light. So much of what we're going to talk about will come back to that. And if you hear nothing else in this next little time together, remember that. How do water and light play together? And just track it through the Christmas season, track it through the winter, track it through the frost, track it through the rain, track it through the sunrise and the sunset. Be aware of how light and water come together and how enough that is. Like how truly enough that is. I'm sure you've had that experience where you've opened your door on a cold winter morning and the frost, like you've seen the frost crystals and been like, what is happening? That is a miracle. That's with us. That's available to us all the time. And the sun card is like the pure joy of exuberant joy of being alive. And the hangman is the one that sees beyond all of the illusion, that sees beyond all of the chaos and just is grateful for the chance to be here, the chance to witness it all. So light and water, that's where we're headed. That's what we're working with this month. There is such an opportunity this month to really feel at peace and to really feel in joy. And I offer that to you on whatever level you want to receive it. The tarot offers that to you on whatever level you want to receive it. But remember where we're coming from. So in November, there was a sense of like, this is my life laid out on the table. What's working? What's not working? What needs to change? What is out of integrity? What is secret in a way that is harmful? Where is sacred space needed? There was this kind of reckoning. And the moon coming in, the back body being activated and all that, it was a deep reckoning. So it was a drawing up, justice, drawing up these deep things that maybe we've never been able to look at. Not even we didn't want to look at, but we've never had the opportunity to look at. Moon energy, shadow energy is in the darkness, in the fluctuation, in the shadow for a reason. So when these things kind of come to the surface, there might have been a real sense of, I never realized I had power over that. I never realized that was a choice I was making. I never realized that that was fueling me in a way that I was completely unconscious of. And now it's on the table. It's what a gift, what a gift. I just felt that so strongly in my body, what a gift November was. And maybe it was a hard month for you. Maybe it was an easy month for you. But I know you did not leave that month without seeing something with clear eyes for the first time. So now it's like it's all rhythms, right? So that happened. That was a very active month. It was a quietly active and externally active month. And December in our culture tends to be the same. But this December, I think there's an opportunity to really remember why we're here. Remember what this time of year is really about. Remember what is actually motivating us. What is the deeper yes, the thing that we're actually trying to accomplish by all our busy movement in the holiday season. What a beautiful opportunity if that's true. What a beautiful opportunity to take the learning from these past years, the learning from quarantine, the learning from our own isolation, the learning from last year, which was such a question around harmony, right? What is in harmony and what is out of harmony, and where do I live in that? Where do I have power there? Where do I have to release and let go in that dance, that dynamic? This 7 year, which we're coming to the end of, and again, 7s are not clear. So you might be sitting here in December being like, what just happened? What just happened in 2023? What is happening in 2023? And I would say to you, I'm laughing because there's a little bit of like acceptance in that. 7 energy is that. 7 energy is never going to be clear and defined and grabbable. 7 energy is working quietly in the dark. 7 energy is working with us to transform in a way that we might not ever really be conscious of. So we have these glimpses like in November, but so much of what happened in November was a buildup over the whole year, a buildup of everything you've been working on over this past year. And now we're here in December, and what if we actually learned something? Like what if we actually were able to sit with ourselves with more patience, more love, and really enjoy what we seek in this holiday season, whatever that means to you. Like you seek the energy of going dark with the winter solstice coming up, or you seek the energy of generosity, or you seek the energy of peace on earth. Like whatever you seek, can you actually be there? Can you be there, and can you move in a way that invites more of that into your life, that aligns with that, and not let the confusion, the illusion distract you. So that brings us to the 12, the hangman. And the hangman is an incredible energy. It's incredibly active energy. One of the things that really surprised me when I began to teach tarot was how much fear is associated with this card. I just ask you to stay here with this card. This is one of those cards that when it comes up in a reading or when I'm teaching it, people bounce off of it. And what I mean by that is that they will have an initial reaction, initial feel of the card, and then they will want to move past it. They'll want to talk about other cards. They won't stay here in this energy. And one of the requests of the hangman is that you stay still. And one of the lessons of the hangman is that staying still is very active. Staying still is an act of power. All of the things you might associate with the hangman, and if you don't know that, I'll just run through it quickly for you. Reversal, submission, surrender, allowing, pausing, sight, flow, reversal. Did I say reversal? All of these things are a choice. All of those things might sound like passive verbs, but none of them happen by accident, and none of them happen without your choice to do them. Surrendering, right? That's a classic one. Oh, just surrender to the flow. We talked about that, right? Or just surrender to love, or just surrender to the moment. It is very active to surrender. It takes focus and choice around that to choose to surrender. So it is passive, but it's an action. It's an action towards passivity. It's an action towards allowing. And the hangman is a really powerful energy. In the major arcana, we can talk about justice being the center card, but truly the pivot point in a human's journey is the Wheel of Fortune, justice, and the hangman. It's its own little microcosm, those three middle cards. There's something about the hangman that gets overlooked or that gets dismissed because I actually don't know where the fear comes from, because it's not like it's a singular response. It might have something to do with the idea of the crucifixion, which is a very violent form of reversal, a very violent mythology around the hangman. But that's not really the energy that the tarot is offering. That's the energy that exists, this idea of a reversal, of surrender, of withdrawal. And in the Christian faith, that the story that talks about that is the story of Jesus's crucifixion. But it's interesting, right? Not that I want to get too far down this rabbit hole, because there are so many rabbit holes I could drop down in December, and I'm going to try to keep it even, keep it cool, Kirsten. But the rabbit hole of Jesus's energy is most, and if you have any qualms about Jesus, those are yours, and I'm on board with that. I know his energy can be very polarizing and activating in lots of different ways. But I'm just thinking about the story. The story is this energy, this light, this pure love comes to earth in December. A whole thing happens where that gets corrupted, that gets ostracized, that gets harmed. It gets hung, it gets crucified. But the energy, the pureness of the energy is one who comes and sees past the illusion. One who comes and sees in all beings and all people love, and sees the light in the water, sees the light in the water. And so come back to that energy in however you feel about what that journey looks like, or what that means, or, the cultural, social, political implications of how that energy has been, used and appropriated in the world. That's a whole other story. We're just talking about the mythology. Similar mythology in the yogic traditions of turning the body upside down. In Odin's hanging from the tree. In Artemis as well, she, does a reversal. So in many mythologies, and I would probably imagine if we wanted to play this game, in all mythologies, someone hangs upside down, someone reverses their sight, someone clears away the illusion and remembers what really matters. And that's what the hangman is doing. The hangman is stepping back, and they are enlightened, truly enlightened. And when you are enlightened, your whole view changes. The whole world changes. The script is flipped unavoidably and forever. And the idea of the hangman is one that people may not understand. So they look at the hangman, they're like, what are you doing, dude? Why are you hanging upside down? And some people look at the hangman and say, isn't that uncomfortable? Doesn't that hurt you? Don't you want to come back here and put your feet back on the ground? And the hangman energy is, I'm so good. I'm so good. And I don't have to explain it. I maybe couldn't even explain it if I wanted to. There's something about the hangman that's just I'm good here. I actually see with clear eyes. I might look like I'm not making sense. I might not be something you understand. I might not be seeing the world the way you do. And yet I feel very confident about what I'm doing. I feel very clear about my choice to pause, to allow, to surrender, to see with clear eyes. What I was saying before about the yogic traditions, there's a lot of energy around moving the fluids from the genital area down into or up into the headspace by turning on your head. There's activations of glands in the brain. And so there's a lot of sacred work around this idea of reversal. The hangman is the energy of the one who sees clearly. And it's just an interesting dance, right? Because you look at the card and you're like, how does he see clearly? He's upside down. And yet if you turn it upside down, you look at it, there's just this deep peace. And here's where it gets interesting to me, is that if you put the hangman upright so that you're looking at their feet on the ground and their head above, they're actually making a very similar movement to the child, and to the world card. That's another conversation for another time. But in this instant, to the sun. The sun card is a child, a little naked, happy baby on a horse, arms wide open, legs wide open, with this beautiful banner, and the sun warm behind them, and this beautiful halo of golden curls. The hangman, when you turn them upside down, they look just the same. And one of the messages that came through was the reclaiming of your joy. Part of what happens as you develop a spiritual practice, develop a sense of your light, develop a liberation around your light and your gift and your genius and your sparkle and your magic, is that you remember with wisdom joy. So you remember that this is magic. To be here is a miracle. To exist on this earth with the light and the water is a miracle. And centering that in your vision can't help but bring joy, can't help but bring wonder and awe, can't help but bring presence. And in our world, that might not be valued as the real work. Right? You can think about, like, if I just sit in my house and I'm just joyful, everyone might be like, what are you doing? And how is dinner getting made? And who's, organizing Christmas? And what's happening with the cookie bake? And yet there's a way in which the energies of these two cards together says, remember why you're doing those things. Like, remember why you're doing those things. Just to get back to the hangman, stay with this card. Like, if you have it, pull it out, look at it, sit with it. And if you feel fear, if you feel discomfort, I invite you, I ask you if you would just stay still for a moment, if you would stay with it and just track, like, with real curiosity. No need for it to be different. You can be uncomfortable. That's cool, man. We're all struggling on some level in some ways, and some cards are going to be more confronting for others than for us, and vice versa. But just stay with it, because there's a lesson here with the hangman. There's this deep sense of power and peace. There's a metaphor that I've been playing with in my brain for a long time, and it has something to do with the density that's created, the gravitational pull, the magnetism that's created as you center in yourself, as you reveal more of your light, as you cultivate the revealing of your light in the world, cultivate serving from a place of fullness, like really serving from a place of gifting yourself first. There's something that I watch happen, especially, I notice it a lot in women. I notice it in my own life, but I can really see it in women that I've been working with over these past years in Women's Circle. People who have kind of come back month after month and are staying with their own practice and staying with their own sense of accountability and staying with their own self-keeping. This thing that happens where their gravitational energy changes. And I was trying to, I don't have a perfect metaphor for it. So it's not quite like a black hole. It's not quite like a star. But I was watching Oppenheimer this weekend, and he explains the idea of what happens when a star collapses. So the light from the star is so strong, like the energy getting output from the star is so powerful, but then gravity is also pushing on that. And so a star is stable because, if I'm getting this right, and you quantum physicists can totally correct me. But what I understood was the light pushes out, the energy, the output pushes out, gravity pushes in. And then at some point the power from the star, the power that it's generating begins to lighten, soften, because the star is kind of dying. And then the gravity is so powerful that's why a star collapses. It collapses into itself. That sounds kind of sad, so that's why that metaphor doesn't really work for the human experience. But there is something of truth there, that when you surrender to what is, you surrender, you stop resisting, and you just surrender to the truth of what is in this moment, something about your energy folds in on itself and actually generates much more power than you ever generated by pushing back against gravity, pushing back against life. Does that make any sense? I hope that makes sense. And I notice that in people. I notice this idea of when I stop trying to control the narrative, when I stop trying to fight everything, and I stop trying to prove something, that something about the energy kind of like turns in on itself, and that involution is incredibly generative. It's incredibly powerful. And then all the things you've been seeking, all the things you've been asking for, they come kind of tumbling into the space. Something about that, and one day I will nail that metaphor and I will figure out exactly what I'm trying to say. It's something I feel very clearly and I don't quite have the language for, but that's as close as I've come. Hearing them talk about how the power of the involution is so much more intense than any like exterior pushing of like proving of my light. Like it's me. When I stop trying to prove that, my power just increases in such an abundant way. That's the energy of the hangman. And the other energy of the hangman is, they talk about in meditation or in awe, there is this removal of I. There's this removal of the ego. There's this removal of needing things to be any different than how they are. And when you open that space in yourself, the whole universe rushes in. That's enlightenment, that's peace, that's nirvana. It's like I just stepped out of the way. I have nothing to prove. The renegotiation of how you hold your light. I am the container for my light and I have to protect it and hold it at all costs and prove it at all costs. Versus this evolution that happens, this metamorphosis that happens. I am the light and I have nothing to prove. That is similar to the idea of like I empty myself of ego, I empty myself of agenda, and I just fill myself with awe, fill myself with light. So that is all the energy of the hangman. It's a deeply spiritual card, a deeply profound sense of I'm okay and you're okay. And regardless of what's happening, there's a fundamental rhythm and rightness to life, and a rhythm and rightness to you, and a rhythm and rightness to the moment. And it goes back to be here now, it goes back to presence, goes back to breath. And the hangman is the icon of that. Do what you need to do, whether it's flip yourself upside down or hang yourself from the tree. There's no violence in the hangman card. And that's the thing I guess I want you to stay with in this card, because there can be many reasons why you look at that and there's an aversion to the violence associated with the idea of hanging, the hanged one, the idea of crucifixion. And that's not what this energy is. This energy is I choose to pause. I choose to allow. I choose to empty. I choose to submit. I choose to surrender, to see what else, to see things differently, to see beyond the illusion, beyond the veil. Very much the energy of Plato's cave, right? Step out into the sunlight. And then when you're outside the cave in the sunlight and you're trying to explain to people in the cave that they're not even in the sun, that they're just seeing shadows by the light of the fire, they're going to be like, you're crazy. And then you decide, I don't need to prove this to anyone. I'm just going to do my thing. And if I stay here in the sun long enough, someone's going to get curious. And at the same time, it doesn't even matter because I'm in the sun, dude. I'm in the sun. And it feels good to be in the sun. So the hangman, when the hangman comes up, you want to think about allowing. You want to notice your attachment to the way it's supposed to be. The attachment to reality, the attachment to the rules and the frames and the narratives that you play by. I imagine in November, a lot of that was kind of tousled or shaken or activated. And in December, there's an energy of, right, this is what is. And I don't need anything to be different. And that's kind of the energy that the hangman offers you. What if, even in its chaos, even in strangeness, life was exactly right, and this moment was exactly right? That is the lesson of the hangman. And again, you don't need to explain that to anyone. You need to feel it. Yoga, breath, nature, just wandering around, looking for all the ways that light and water dance together would be a beautiful practice. And it's like you see beyond the veil with the hangman. I love it. I've always loved it. When people first started telling me they were afraid of this card, I was like, I took it personally. I was like, what do you mean? It's such a cool energy. Somewhere in my chart, I have something with Uranus that makes me like fundamentally okay with being an outsider. I don't know. Ask Maddie, she'll tell you what exactly I'm talking about. But I remember her saying that to me. I'm like fundamentally okay with living outside of the mainstream. Like I'm okay being considered off or weird. I don't take that personally. And I think the hangman is the same way. So there's something about like notice where it has to be a certain way. Notice where you have to be a certain way and just get curious about that. what if I did it my own way? What if I didn't care if it was strange? What if that's the whole point? Like, what if that's the whole point? To the Sun card, on to the Sun. Sun card, happiest card in the deck. And I love the idea of the 7-year moving through the Hangman into the Sun. There's something about this reversal, whatever way you've reversed, whatever way you've evolved, whatever way you've unmasked reality to see more clearly, whatever way you've opened up your heart and your space to more light, to more source light, like to the recognition that it's not up to, you're not the hermit, you don't have to carry the light so perfectly all the time, that there's endless source energy moving through you. You have only to make space for it. The Sun is that. The Sun is pure happiness and joy. There really, there are no bad cards, there are no good cards, but the Sun card is the energy of joy. The only negative around that, and it's really hard to actually find a negative for the Sun card. The only negative around, the only like medicine of the Sun card is, where are you keeping yourself from joy? Where are you keeping yourself separate from joy? Where are you not noticing the joy that is right here with you? And I'll say it again, light and water. If you walked out into the world right now and you found some place where light and water were playing together, you would find joy. You would find joy. And that might be another human being, that might be a puddle on the pavement, that might be a snowflake falling from the sky, that might be 1,000 things. But there's joy there, right there for you, accessible for you. The Sun card is an expansive energy. So whatever darkness you've been struggling with, wherever there felt like there hasn't been enough choice or there hasn't been possibility, the Sun comes to illuminate. The Sun comes to illuminate the way forward, the new path, the expansion, the possibility, and the fundamental sense of you have not made a mistake. To struggle is, to be human is to struggle. And that doesn't mean there's not also kind of joy right there at our fingertips. It doesn't mean that there's not this constant evolution, this constant turning of the wheel, this constant, day to night, winter to summer that we can track and say, the light will come again, the sun will come again. I will find my way forward even when it's been difficult. I can always come back to joy. I can always find my way back to joy in my heart and in my life and the world. When the Sun is with us, everything becomes simple, becomes joyous, becomes real, becomes physical. There's a physical joy of, damn man, I get to be human, I get to be here. As we feel into the Hangman energy and we feel the Sun, the 7-year bringing the Sun to us, it's illumination, but on a much bigger scale, Something about the way these two cards came together felt like some fundamental liberation. And I go back to what I said about I think it's a Gnostic belief that when we came to Earth, we shattered, like source energy shattered, and the light became imprisoned in each one of us. And that the Gnostic tradition says your work here on this earth is to liberate that light, is to set it free. Hangman already brings that, like the liberation, the allowing, the pouring forth of more light, more clarity, more vision by my turning the world on its head, by my flipping the script, by my seeing past the illusion. And then in the 7-year, the 7 is calling in the Sun energy, calling in that 19, right? We're adding the 7 to the 12 to call in that 19. We call in that 19 and it's like this, all the illumination we talked about from the Tower energy, it's like that stroke of light, but in this way that feels so warm and feels so joyful. And that's what came through when I was looking at these two cards, was that the Hangman is the adult. It's the grown version of us that's able to step back and see clearly. The Sun is pure joy. And so there's something about these two cards coming together that speaks to this idea of, in December, you reclaiming your joy, but reclaiming it from a place of wisdom. So it's the pure joy of childhood, right? There's something about the Hangman that is so at peace, so trusting of its own strength. It has an echo from the Chariot card. The Chariot card is that stillness, that sense of stillness, drawing energy in, drawing energy to you. The Hangman is stillness and shining your light. And anything that doesn't want to be there gets burned away. It doesn't even matter because it feels so good. It feels so good. And the Sun energy is, again, the most feel-good card of the deck. So something about this says that learning taking place, evolution taking place, that is so freaking beautiful. Like whatever you have gone through this year, know that in December you are carrying more light. You have liberated light and you are in that, and pause and let it feel good. So from a functional standpoint, let December feel good. Let the quiet moments feel good. Let the noisy moments feel good. Let the rush feel good. Let the gift giving feel good. Let the parties feel good. Whatever you need to do to let it feel good, full permission, full permission. And the Hangman says, yeah, you're not just enjoying the light, you are illuminating the world with your light. And I would say light and joy are very interchangeable here. Vitality and light are very interchangeable here. 7 years are about this mysterious process of mastery, this mysterious process of evolution, this mysterious process of transition. And December, with the Hangman and the Sun, says, yeah, you did it. You've completed it. You have arrived here stronger, clearer, brighter, and more full of life and joy than you were when this year began. Can you honor that in yourself? Like, do you feel that? And can you celebrate that? And maybe in some way it can let you relax anything that's not that. Like, relax anything that's not that. Relax any stories, any narratives, any judgments, any agendas around what to do with that, and just enjoy it a little more fully this month. Can you imagine the world we would live in if everyone did that? Can you imagine if the world we would live in if everyone took accountability, dropped the games, dropped the illusion, dropped the defensiveness, and just cultivated their own light and let that lead them, and then shared that with the world as a gift? I think that's what the holiday season is supposed to be all about. I think that's what we meant when we said we're celebrating peace on earth, joy to the world. I think that's where we're headed. Listen, dude, it's on you. It's on you to liberate that light. It's on you to trust yourself. It's on you to believe that you are worthy of shining. You are worthy of shining. It's on you to believe moment after moment, breath after breath, day after day, practice after practice, that you are enough. That you are enough. You're not just clutching this bit of light that makes you worthy. You are the light. You are the light. And that's a huge difference. It's just a hugely different way of moving through the world, moving through space. Hangman and the Sun, if we can talk about active or passive months, these are choices that are made, but very passive. This is a passive energy. So this energy is, I'm going to stay here. Justice in the Moon was like, I'm going to stay here and look with clear eyes. Hangman and the Sun is, I'm going to stay here and feel myself and separate myself from anything that's taking me out of alignment, that's taking me away from the light. And I'm going to celebrate the fact that I am light and water. I am the sea and I am a gift. And the world is the sea, and the world is a gift, and I am the world, and the world is me. It's all here. It's all here. And so there's this way in which the Hangman is stepping back to see clearly, stepping back to become one. It's so cool. There's a lot of energy here around compassion, around being guided, around healing, around holding your heart and holding your emotional body with real tenderness. And I just invite you really to spend this month meditating on light and water. And that could mean so many different things to you. It means so many different things to me. But it's kind of this really interesting, active observation, curiosity, meditation, awareness that I think is going to help liberate something in you and in me and in the world. If nothing else, it will offer us more wonder, more awe, more joy in the month ahead. And that is what the tarot wants for us. This is really a gift, these two cards together. This is a gift of, you are perfectly wonderful just as you are. You are a light that drives and creates the whole world. And you are light in form. And it is a beautiful thing to behold. A beautiful thing to behold. You are a beautiful thing to behold. Okay, tarot. We are going to enter the 8 year next year. So 2024 will be the number 8 year. That is a year of bringing all of this to reality. Everything you've learned, everything you've transmuted, everything you've evolved into, let's see what it actually does in the world. 8s are the number of the great manifester, the master manifester, as above, so below. And I think there's going to be a real speed increase to what we create. I think things are going to pick up in terms of, like, I imagine it and it's here. I desire it and it's here. I picture it and it's here. There's going to be an increase in speed in how quickly what we develop in spirit, develop in thought form, how quickly it arrives here on earth. So that will be interesting. Eights are active. There's a lot happening in an 8-year. There's a lot of room for abundance and success in an 8-year. And we will see. So I guess this will be my last reading of 2023, my last monthly reading of 2023. And I think that maybe, I haven't decided yet, but I think there'll probably be some 2024 podcast that will kind of talk us through the energy of the year ahead. And then there will be a January one as well. And I'll see you on the weekly, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll offer you tomorrow your tarot scopes for every sign for the month ahead. But I would say that life is not always easy. For many of us, it's quite challenging, and November was for sure pretty profound liberation in both very painful ways and very joyful ways. And the month ahead is a time to integrate all of that, rest with all of that, and take the peace you can find, take the joy you can find, take the awe you can find, and sit in it, stay with it, one beat, one breath, 1 minute longer. The worst case is you're going to have a little more joy and wonder and love in your life. It can't hurt, and it could make miraculous things happen. You deserve it. You deserve to feel good this month. And you've worked hard all year. Enjoy this time. Do not wish it away. Do not rush it by. Do not miss the way that the light and the water is performing for you and gifting you every day. All right, love you all. Happy holidays to all of you. And I will talk to you soon. Bye. It's giving everything is sacred. It's giving art. It's giving light you up and turn you on and set you free. It's giving curiosity. It's giving freedom. It's giving love. It's giving you are more magical and powerful than you can comprehend. It's giving, I don't know what's happening, but I am so here for it. It's giving you are pure potential. It's giving mystical.